Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm going to be discussing my army at the moment after 3 whole entire games. 3 whole massive games. But no, it's just what I've learned so far and I kind of want to discuss it. And it's what I'm going forward with at the moment. I want to play more games, obviously. 3 games is not enough, but just kind of give out how it's going so far with my 10th edition Tau. So first and foremost, I do have Commander Shadowsun. I do not put her in the front. She is too vulnerable, too weak. She doesn't have great saves, a 3-up, and then a 5-up invul. She's toughness 4, she's weaker than she was last edition. Lone Operative is great, but again, get it within 12 inches and she dies. So she's too valuable for me to push her forward, so she stays in the back with my broadsides or hammerheads, or anything relatively back there, shooting long range. Just because of this ability, keep her in the back until the enemy close in, and then that's when I start using her. But hopefully at that point I've weakened them enough. I don't run Farsight just because I don't think he's all that great at the moment. He's still spec'd out the same in 9th edition, I believe. I run Commander in a Crisis Battlesuit. As a matter of fact, I have 2 of them. And I watched some other channels saying that he's kind of the weakest of all of them, I think. Him or the Enforcer, but I think it's him mostly. Because people saying, oh yeah, you just bring Shadowsun with you. But I don't know. Once the enemy gets in 12 inches, she's targetable. She's no longer protected. Again, her saves aren't that great necessarily. And she only has 6 wounds, so... Anyway, the reason why I run Commanders in a Crisis Suit is because I can use my Crisis Suits to push forward while keeping Shadowsun in the back, giving that reroll 1s to my broadsides and Hammerhead. So I do run 2 of these, and I put them in a squad, and to get the reroll hit roll of 1s, I run them with, so hear me out here, in 9th edition, Cyclic Ion Blasters all the way, overcharge all the time. I actually have Shadowsun and Ethereal running behind them in 9th edition, giving them feel no pain, and the shield drones, so all the mortal wounds of overcharging goes to the shield drones, and plus they have full reroll to hit, so it reduces the chance of it causing mortal wounds, because you can reroll those ones. But now being 3 mortal wounds if you overcharge it, kind of dangerous. And also, in my second game against Space Marines, I did run an entire squad of Cyclic Ion Blasters, and I will get to that when I get to the Crisis Suit. So I do have 2 full 6-man Crisis Suit squads with 2 Crisis Commanders in them because of that reroll of 1. I'm looking for lethality, not necessarily mobility. Let's see, I don't have an Enforcer, although I think the way I would run an Enforcer, if I were to run in a squad, it'd be purely more guns. Shield drones and more guns. I'd ignore invul saves and all of that. The reason why being is because he reduces the AP, and then if you're in cover, in a sense you're -2 to AP. For this guy, I do run the battle support system. Reason why being is because I'll get to that when I get to the Crisis Suits. Alright. I heard people say Cold Star Commander is the better. I can see why, because of the fact the assault and the fact that you're moving 18 inches with the Crisis Suit and the Commander. And yeah, it's pretty crazy, just a ridiculous movement. Although I guess, I definitely will try out Cold Star Commander, but I want to see how the Crisis Commander works first after a couple of games. I don't run Cadre. I don't know about Ethereal. I did not run it so far the FAR 2 games, so no Ethereal either. Let's see what else. Definitely will never ever run Long Strike, because even that +1 of ballistic skills is, in my opinion, not necessarily worth it, just because you're getting a +1 against monsters and vehicles. You got that free reroll to hit, and it's your railgun is a heavy weapon, so you're getting +1 to hit if you don't move. I don't think he's worth it for that +1. 25 points for +1 of ballistic skills. I don't think it's worth it. I don't believe I did have a strike team, actually. I'm sorry. in one of the games with an ethereal, with something that gave lethal hits. Didn't really work out too well, so that's why I'm not running them anymore. Waste of points. So crisis suits, here we go. Alright, so this is the main thing in my army, is the crisis suits. I run a full 6-man squad. 3 of the 6 crisis suits they're all equipped the same, or should I say 3 are all equipped the same, and the other 3 is equipped the same. The way I run it is I run all of them with Battlesuit support system, because I learned my lesson in the first game against Necrons. I deep strike my crisis suits in the back to destroy its long range attacks and to get my secondary objectives. But once the Nightbringer closed in, got in melee combat, I could not kill it because of the -1 to hit, so I'm hitting on 5s. And the fact that I have damage and all of this, even with the amount of shots I was throwing at it, it wasn't dying. And I wasn't rolling all that well. I was rolling, I think, below average, so do factor that in. Anyways, the way I run the first 3 is 3 plasma rifles with the battle support system and 2 gun drones. So that's 3 crisis suits right there. The other 3, 2 plasma rifles, the battle support system, and the shield generator with 2 shield drones. So the first 3 is just pure guns, just throwing volumes of fire. The last 3 is my meat shield. They still have 2 plasma rifles. They're all about, they're gonna take the hits before my gun guys get hit. So essentially, whenever my crisis suit gets shot at, the shield drone crisis suit with the 2 shield drones are the one that's going to be taking the hits, and I have 3 meat shields in a sense. And there's going to be, hopefully the idea is there's enough firepower here to essentially wipe out a squad. Strength, you're talking about strength 8, AP 3, damage 3, no cover saves, because you're going to be generally guiding these units with marker lights anyway. So my second game, I went against Black Templars. So again, the first game I learned Battlesuit support system. If I get locked in combat and I run away, even if I run away, say like 12 inches with a Cold Star, generally speaking, the people can move 6 inches and charge them again, and then they're stuck in combat again. They can keep locking my crisis suit. There's no point of running away because you can't shoot. You might as well stay in combat and try to wipe the squad by shooting them in combat, even though you're getting -1 to hit. So that's the reason why I did the battle support system. Even if you were to destroy them in your shooting, if you wipe them out, you are now officially wide open to be shot at without the -1 to hit, because you just wiped out the squad and you could no longer move. This is the reason why I value this a bit higher. I'm not necessarily too worried about negative modifiers. Again, because I get rerolls to 1, there's a lot of volume of fire. I don't think there's too many things with stealth yet. I have not run into that yet. So anyways, so that's what I learned in the first game. Battle support system is a must. I need to run away and shoot. And also, if I get in tight and close combat by something big, I can run away. Then that thing is open to be shot at. So, from my first game against Necrons to my second game against Necrons, which I'm hoping I recorded and I hope I can edit it and post it on here. My second game against Necrons, same thing happened. I pushed my crisis suit forward. He charged with a Nightbringer. He swung. He rolled pretty bad. I pulled the stim injections out because I needed to survive, and then when it came my turn, I retreated. I fell back. Nightbringer was out in the open now. My broadsides took it out, and then my crisis suit got into his back line, destroyed his heavy destroyers in the back end, and essentially that was kind of game. So anyways, the all support system worked out very well for me. I'm not saying it's like the end all be all, but so far, for me, that's kind of a must-have so far. So my second game, actually, second game in 10th edition, I went up against some Black Templars. he deep striked his Terminators, Rapid Ingress, and so I had two squads again of Crisis Battlesuits. This time, one was equipped with the same plasma equipment. The other was equipped the same way, but instead of plasma, had cyclic ion blasters. Never overcharged it. With me overcharging, I have a feeling I'd be rolling a lot of ones and getting rid of and killing off a lot of my own men, my own crisis suits. So I never overcharged it. I shot with the plasma. I wiped out one Terminator squad. One round of crisis suit shot at a 5-man Terminator squad, wiped it out. The next shot with my crisis suit that has the cyclic ion blasters, 47 cyclic ion blasters standard, and 12 gun drones. What do you call it? Just a pulse rifle, no AP. Killed, I think it was 3 Terminators. I'm like, that's 59 shots. 47 of it was strength 7 AP1 damage 1. That was quite disappointing. I think my rolls there were, I think for both rolls felt slightly above average. Hold on, I don't know how to see. So again, 3 cyclic ion blasters on 3, I think it might have been 4 crisis suit. I was testing out maybe just having 2 meat shields with a shield generator and 2 shield drones, and then the other 4 having pure guns. But anyways, this is my second round testing out different kinds of things. Yeah, 47 shots of cyclic ion blasters against a Terminator squad, and it did not wipe the squad. That was a bit disappointing. I was like, that's not good. Because obviously Terminators have a 2-up save, so they're going on 3+ at this moment, so they have a better save than their 50-50 with the invols. And it's like, that's not kind of good. I know a lot of people talk about cyclic ion blasters being really good, and I was all about it in 9th edition. Loved it. That was my go-to. But now that all guns cost the same, I was thinking maybe plasma. While it may not wipe out a 20-man squad necessarily, just plasmas alone, but with the help of gun drones, you could potentially wipe out hordes, because hordes don't really have saves. So plasma is a bit overkill on hordes, but against wound 2s and wound 3 models, this is great. You're either putting them on our invols or they're getting no to very 1/6 chance of a save. Invols, or you need to roll a 6 to save. Don't get me wrong, if they pass, that's very devastating because that's 3 wounds that they ignore, but when they fail, that's very devastating because that's a dead model, essentially. And this is, but yeah. So anyways, not very many, not too good against Horde, but with, again, was it 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 plasma shots. That's pretty good at even taking out like a 20-man blob, especially if you have rerolls to 1 and hitting on a 3+. You only essentially have 1 failed hit, which is on a 2 and a 1, a 1/3 chance, but you're rerolling once, so you're increasing your chance of killing. Then if you guide it with these guys, the stealth suits right underneath here, you get the reroll once. The average toughness is 4, so you're wounding on 2+. This one, if you don't overcharge, you're essentially wounding on 3+. So you have more success of killing with the plasmas over cyclonic, but I don't know. It's still a test. Again, only 3 games, but I had greater success with plasma rifles than I did with the cyclic ion blasters. I really do like this, guys, because of the reroll a wound roll of 1. I don't use them anything else other than spotting. I tried ghost kills. I didn't have good luck with them, but I think I should try them again sometime. It's just that I think they cost 170 points, which is equivalent to almost a 3-man squad of Crisis Battlesuit, which you can run 9 plasmas, 9 plasma shots here. And a lot of people say, well, this has lone operative. It's like, yeah, you know, that's about a few turns of Lone Operative, and then they're in your face in a sense. So I mean, again, I'm not saying that they're bad, but I definitely gotta try them again. And I did overcharge all the time, and I never did get hazardous, so I was quite lucky. But it just wasn't as effective as plasmas. It's really nice to have the 3 damage and AP2, honestly, but it's really weird. And one thing I don't get is this Cyclic Ion Raker, Cyclic Ion Blaster. Okay, the blaster's 18 inches. The Raker is 36 inches. And the Pathfinders has Ion Rifle, which is 30 inches. Why can't the Crisis Suits have the Ion Rifle, please? Thank you. Because all of them are the same strength, same AP, roughly the same damage. At least with the Pathfinder and the Crisis Suit, it's damage 2. Everything, I mean, all of it's all the same. This one, obviously being damage 3. But still, why can't we have the rifle, please, instead of the blaster? The blaster just sucks. It's 18-inch range. Let's get the 30. It's the same profile otherwise. So anyways, so 2 squads of these guys with the Crisis Commander. So I get the rerolls of 1. I'm able to push. I'm able to get out because I'm running the Battlesuit system. Again, so 3 plasmas and battle support system with 2 gun drones and 3 models. On the other 3 models is the battle support system, 2 plasmas, and 2 shield generators with 2 shield drones for the meat shields. If I get charged, it's fine. I can get out and still shoot. That's how I tricked. I don't want to say trick, but that's how I drew the Nightbringer to come out of the cover and obscuring to charge my Crisis Suits with the stim injection to survive his attacks, and in my turn run away. And then he got shot by the broadsides. I run 2 or 3 of these. I think it's 2. Didn't run any of the ghost kills. I didn't have good luck the first time. I definitely need to give him another chance though. I don't have a Farsight team. I did run 1 Pathfinder just because I need to make sure that every single member in my squad can get guided. I ran what was it? The Grab Inhibitor drone, shield drone on the main guy, and just of course gave him at the rail rifle because that's a strength 10, AP 4, damage 3 flat. I don't have any piranhas, so I didn't run that. Don't have any Vespids, so I didn't run them. I do have some fake Kroot Hounds, but I want the new ones. But I don't know if I want to run them or not. There are no OC, which sucks. But they can be used for screening, which I may actually need, especially if I leave my back too open, especially with Shadow Sun and my vulnerable broadsides and hammerhead. I did get teleported behind me with some Necron, forgot what they're called, but they're a beast in melee. So I did run 4 broadsides, 2 and 2. Did the heavy rail rifle. I did give them a seeker missile because it's free. I did twin plasmas. I did give them the battle support system, I think, or the weapon support system, one of the 2. It didn't matter, they never got in combat anyway. And yeah, that was it. And then I did run a hammerhead. I have 2 Riptides that I bought for 9th edition. Love them in 9th edition, they were great. But they seem kind of lacking in this edition because no overcharge. Once per battle, you have a chance of actually doing something, but not guaranteed. Anyway, the reason why I still run hammerheads is because I've honestly, in the 3 battles that I've fought, I never shot a vehicle yet. Amazingly, I have not shot a vehicle yet. And vehicles don't have invuls typically. So this is still great at knocking out armor. Unless it has an invul, and then that kind of sucks. So I haven't faced too many vehicles, so it's not really, I say, a good indication of whether Hammerhead's good or bad. Although I will say this, I shot the freaking Nightbringer on my first and second game, and he passed one of them, but failed one. And the half damage really hurt, because every time I freaking roll a Hammerhead damage roll, I always roll a 1. A 1. And that 2 was lucky. 1 common, 3 never. I guess back in 9th edition. Even in this edition, I rolled a 1 or a 2. But anyways, so what I end up using the Hammerhead for, even if I shoot a blob of Necron warriors, is I fish for the mortals, the devastating wounds. I save this targeting array reroll to for my damage. You know, so I'm hitting on 3+ generally speaking if I move. And obviously I'm going to make sure it hits with the railgun if I have to use that reroll, because it's better to at least hit, and I might roll a 6 to wound. But if I hit and I don't use that reroll for the hit rolls, then on the wound roll, if I don't roll a 6, I'm going to reroll anyway. Because if I don't, I'd rather have a 6, take a chance of rolling a 6 than to just kill one model. Me missing and me killing one model is the same. You know, especially with Necrons. So I was fishing for that 6, that devastating wound, so I can at least kill a minimum of 7 models. That's so much better. It's worth failing to hit. I'm sorry, failing to wound for a chance of rolling a devastating wound. What else? I don't have a Skyray gunship, so I can't run that. I used to have Devilfish, but I sold it some time ago. And don't have that, don't have that, don't have that, don't have that. I want this, because this is super cheap. It's like 75 points, something like that, 85 points. And you get a fortification that has the freaking Supremacy Rail Rifle, Twin Link, Devastating Wounds. I mean, come on. I don't have a Storm Surge either. Although I fear using things that are Titanic or Towering, just because I have a feeling it's good. I've heard that every time people ran this is the first thing that gets shot at and dies. So it's like, what's the point? Putting I forget how many points this thing is there, and it's just gonna die the first turn. But although I've heard in 10th edition, it might be worth it because I don't think it dies right away. So there's a positive. But then again, I don't know. Complete and utter waste. One of the most useless, if not the most useless, model. 4-man squad for like 70 points. That's stupid. And I don't really run Kroot anymore. I did run it in 9th edition. Great for just pushing to an objective, kind of holding it, and performing certain actions. So I guess the main thing I want to point out here is the fact that I will still run one Hammerhead and stick with Shadow Sun, so that I can reroll. I can save this targeting array of rerolls for the wounds to attempt to get the devastating wounds. 1 out of 6 chance, but it's the only way it can, deal damage to infantry in a sense. And then, I haven't really faced armor yet, so I don't know how well it does against armor. I've heard people say, Tau doesn't have anything that can handle armor. I'm like, maybe, but then again, I can't say anything because I have not faced against armor yet. I'm hoping to. Broadsides, I run 4 of these. They're pretty good. They took out the Nightbringer. I had good luck with their saves. I was able to get into position and hit on 3+. I was able to get in position and hit on 3+. Not 2+, because moving into position you lose the heavy, but hitting on 3+, and after that I was good to go for the rest of the turn. I did run them with missile drones instead, which I was like, just have more firepower. Not a lot of things has a pretty long range, and by that point I'll be firing missile drones. I'll be firing missile drones, heavy rail rifle, twin link plasma, seeker missile, and just hopefully there's enough firepower there to wipe them out before they threaten my broadside. I do want to run Kroot Hounds. I want the new models though. But anyways, I do want to run them, but I don't have any room at the moment. I definitely need to shuffle my list around a bit, but with running 2 crisis suits might be difficult. Don't have Vespid. I did want to run them in 9th edition, but never did because the models were super expensive. Don't have Piranhas. They weren't all that great. I think I kind of like the way my army's built at the moment, although I've heard people had good luck with these on the YouTubes. Pathfinder, I think 1 squad is kind of mandatory. It's just really nice to have a rail rifle and being able to, for the greater good for 2 units. Other than that, they're not necessarily all that great. I mean, rail rifles is great, and marker lighting for 2 units is great, honestly. And they're not that much more expensive than Fire Warriors. Don't have a Farsight team. I don't think the Farsight team is all that great, just because it's an AP one-shot. I don't know. I've not heard many good things about this on the YouTubes. I've heard great things about the Ghost Kill. I did run it and had bad luck with them. Then again, I was rolling kind of bad. My only issue is the fact that it costs, I think, 170 points for these, and I think I'd rather have three Crisis Suit instead. It may not have the Lone Operative or Infiltrator or Stealth, but the fact that it's shooting with 9 plasmas is wonderful. Because it doesn't really have much of anything else other than Lone Operative and the overcharged Cyclic Ion Raker. Stealth suits, I do run 2 to 3 of these, just because I want that reroll of 1. I'm trying to get my rerolls back, so I have the Crisis Commander for rerolls of hit. I have these guys for rerolls of wound. Mind you, rerolls of hit of 1 and rerolls of wound of 1. With plasmas, that's generally speaking going to be the only thing that you'll ever miss is once, and you get to reroll that. And also with broadsides, with what is it, Pathfinders or Shadow Sun being close by to rerolls of 1, and then them guiding it for rerolls of 1 to wound. What else? Again, Crisis, I do run 2 full squads with 2 Crisis Commanders, so I can get so they can be up front pushing the enemy with rerolls of 1 and potentially rerolls of 1 to wound. But you know, it all depends on where I need that reroll of 1 to wound. And what else? So that's essentially it. I don't run Kroots. I don't run Breacher teams, although I heard great things about them, but they tend to die. So that's kind of like an expensive loss of 100. I forget how much they cost. Like, I know it's a little bit over 100 points, I think. 110, maybe, somewhere around there, 135. Then you put them on a, you put them in a Devilfish, which I don't know how much that costs. Hold on, let me check. Okay, so Breacher team is a 115 point model, and then the Devilfish is 95 points. That makes it, what, 210 points for that one squad. That is about half, 210 points. Yeah, it's about 3-man squad of Crisis Suit. Again, it's just to me, it costs a bit too much. And they don't have great saves. They have a 10-inch range, which is really, really, really bad. We are not a melee armor, and our good guns is plus pistols is freaking 12 inches. Come on now. Don't get me wrong, Paul. I mean, you put now if you put an ethereal in here, not an ethereal, a cadre, makes it 3 shots, 30 shots. Strength 6, AP 1, damage 1. You can get a stratagem that gives you an increase of AP under 9 inches, or 9 inches and under. So strength 6, AP 2, damage 1, and 30 attacks. Well, you'll say 32 attacks. Well, 30 attacks at this profile and then 2 attacks with the cadre. But you're looking at how many points is that? 260 points. Cadre is 50 points. Breacher team, cadre 50 points. Breacher team, that's 165 total, plus 95. 165, 260. 260 points for a Devilfish, a cadre, and a Breacher team. With pretty I won't say horrible saves, but horrible saves. Yeah. And it's nice to get the reroll, the wound roll. Oh, they're hitting on 3+, by the way, too. That's just really good. They're like hitting better than Crisis Suits. They're hitting as good as Commanders. It's really weird. I guess they did that because, you know, they're only shooting with 10 inches away, so they have to hit decently, you know. Hitting the broadside of the barn, you know, from 6 feet away is pretty easy. But yeah, Strike team, great, but they're, again, super expensive. They're half the cost of of a 3-man crisis suit. So what I ended up doing is I used my crisis suit to push forward, and I used my stealth teams to capture objectives if possible, or my broadsides to move them up slowly, my hammerheads, you know, the thing that stays in the back. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know about, I guess, the update in terms of my army right now, how I'm running it, and how well or horrible it's going. I'll get a spoiler right now for my fight against my second fight against the Necrons. In the entire battle, I lost 3 models. It was crazy. I was rolling fairly good, and my opponent was rolling kind of bad. But with certain stratagems and the meat shield from my crisis suit and the ability to get out of there when I need to was fantastic. So I did stim injections whenever he shot at me or whenever he charged me, all depending. But yeah, this saved me from losing a model. I had 1 wound left because I've passed 1 feel no pain. And then when he shot again, obviously all the shots had to go to that 1 model with 1 wound left. And it was like, you know, kind of, you could say it's like a last cannon shot, and you know, he ate it, and good thing. But yeah, stim injections I find to be fairly decent. I wish we could use this during our shooting phase. I'd run cyclic, I would overcharge that Joker, and I'd stim inject, because I fear 3 mortal wounds on rolling a hazardous. I don't do Strike and Fade. I know a lot of people use that, and I do use it sometimes, not too much. I'm usually in decent positions of cover, and sometimes even wanting my crisis suit to be in the open to draw out the enemy into melee. Because if he stays behind cover in the middle, like spoiler for Necrons, I don't know if I'm going to release it or not. I want to edit it and put it out there and talk about what happened, but we had player place terrain. He put most of the terrain in the middle, and for me, I've always struggled to contest the middle. But with how I was blowing up his units, I cleared the right flank. I pushed one of my crisis suits team to the right flank, and then he came out. His Nightbringer was in the middle. Most of his team was in the middle, except for his long range heavy destroyers. So anyways, I pushed that right flank. His Nightbringer came out and charged my crisis suit. He rolled kind of bad, and I luckily enough was able to save with 4 invols and the meat shield. And then once I survived the charge, I fleed. I got out there with the battlesuit system. I jumped out. I didn't use them to shoot first, because if I could save their shots to destroy the heavy destroyers, I would. But I do have to get rid of the Nightbringer, because I cannot have that Nightbringer survive and charge and shoot me again. But luckily enough, I was able to damage the Nightbringer prior to him charging me. And then on my turn, I destroyed them with my broadsides. They were properly positioned, so they didn't have to move. So they were hitting on 2+ with rerolls to 1 because of Shadow Sun. And I got rid of the Nightbringer. I did have my Hammerhead in that game. It literally died. It did nothing. Sorry, it killed 1 warrior because I was fishing for 6 mortal wounds. I had to move it back into a different position because it was getting hammered by the heavy destroyers. I used it to try to get the Nightbringer, but the Nightbringer saved, and I poked it out to do that shot. And then the heavy destroyers came out, shot at it, only had like 3 wounds left. I ducked it back into cover and obscuring. And the only thing I was able to shoot at during that obscuring was the Necron Warrior blob, and I was fishing for mortals, but instead just got killed 1. Outright killed 1, because even it had no feel no pain. That was too many feel no pains I had to save for that. But other than that, he teleported behind me, destroyed my he charged it actually. He charged my Hammerhead and destroyed it. But he was in my back line. It had feel no pain. I think it had invols or whatever. Because it was a melee. I can't remember what can't remember what the squad was called, but it's purely a melee squad. And while he was in my back line, I didn't have to move anything, so I was again hitting pretty heavily on there. I wiped that squad out. I punished them for teleporting behind me. So anyways, again, update. Went all over the place with this one. So I'm going to end right here. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.